So we've got a bit of coaching news here at this juncture of the calendar, not something that, we would normally expect. So obviously that means there was some sort of scandal, some sort of investigation. We're talking about Stanford, Troy Taylor, who was relieved of his duties recently by Andrew Luck, who's leading the charge there at Stanford. And they've found their replacement for this season, Frank Reich, who Andrew Luck familiar with from his time in the NFL, and a guy who has had not great success recently in the NFL. But when you look at the situation as it's been reported, this is going to be a 1-year agreement, and college football is moving more towards an NFL sort of model that, yes, you would ideally, if you're a Stanford fan, like to have your long-term coach in place to start building this roster. But the way that things are going here, you ideally are going to already have your personnel people in place, your people in the scouting department, recruiting department. I'd imagine that, look, whoever is going to be the long-term coach is going to want to bring in some of their own people. But Andrew Luck is running this program as the head of it. And I think a lot of these decisions are going to be made in unison.
Yeah, so look, the circumstances regarding Coach Taylor's firing, I only know what's been reported. I have no insight there. Obviously, like Pete mentioned, it was unexpected as far as it's not the ideal time to fire a coach here, late March. So unique circumstances bring out unique decisions. And I think with Luck, he's saying, we got to land this plane. With the finished spring practice, we have to continue to recruit. We got to add in the portal. We have to coach the team in the fall. So a guy like Reich, he's got credibility as an NFL player. He led the biggest comeback in NFL history. For those who forgot, with the Buffalo Bills as the backup quarterback, he has credibility. Just
led the comeback in college when against Miami as well.
Maryland, the comeback kid. He's been an NFL coach. He set some records you don't want to be setting, which is he was fired in back-to-back seasons. So he's the first head coach since the merger to ever be fired in back-to-back seasons. But overall, 41-43. So, this is not somebody who struggled. He was an assistant coach with the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles as the OC. So he's got a lot of credibility. He can come to these are mature kids. This is Stanford. So he's going to come into the program, maybe steer the ship here for a year, but he's an older guy. He's not someone that necessarily is fighting for a job. And of course has that rapport with Andrew Luck where they could be honest with each other. They had that relationship from being coached by him in the NFL. So,
and I'd imagine because of that relationship, he can almost come in here for a year, and kind of assess with Andrew Luck, what does this program need? This is where it's at right now. And he can kind of just get hands-on with everything from top to bottom and say, all right, look, this is, I think, what this program needs. This is how we can win. This is what the program's strengths are. And essentially be an advisor this season to Andrew Luck while he's the coach. But as you said, kind of steer this ship along for the next year. Less than a year, technically, I would think.
And you might find the coach in the middle of that, right? We saw that. We've seen that in other sports. We just went through it here in Miami with Jay Lucas, which, Pete, you broke that news that he was signing with the Miami Hurricanes during the season as the coach. Duke was still playing. They didn't even start the conference tournaments. Yeah, you reported it. It was, of course, true, but it was done during the season because Larinaga retired unexpectedly during the season. This is college basketball, but just the idea that you can have that coach set up early, even while you're playing games, I think this kind of situation lends itself more to that, where maybe you get somebody in place ready to go. We'll see how that all works out. But in terms of this season, Coach Taylor recruited very well at Stanford, particularly that 24 class, which was a top 35 class. So he's got some players in the boat.
You've got a lot of very, very good things to sell there if you're Stanford.
Oh, of course. And then you got Elijah Brown, someone who's the biggest beneficiary at quarterback, Elijah Brown, who was billed by many as the savior of Stanford football, now replacing Ashton Daniels. He's got the reins from Mater Dei High School, used to winning, number one team in the country. He was rated as high as number 7 in the country as a quarterback. A lot of guys excited about him, 6'2", 205, dealt with some injuries. But he is the guy that you're hoping goes to the next level. Frank Reich, quarterback himself, quarterback coach. So maybe he can help Elijah Brown become that leader of Stanford football going forward. And then if he does that, that's as big as anything he could do as a coach. The team's been struggling clearly. So, I mean, how many 3-win seasons in a row had they had? 4 straight 3-win seasons in a row, 2 4-win seasons before that. And you look at 2010 to 2018, this was one of the more relevant programs in the country. So you've seen both sides of it. They can use a jolt. I think the idea of Andrew Luck as athletic director makes a lot of sense, or sorry, as football GM makes a lot of sense, because the athletic director of Stanford's got to worry about all kinds of Olympic sports. Stanford's got a massive sports program in general, basketball, baseball, and everything, all the other sports where they really thrive. So that AD's got a full slate. Football's pretty unique. It's a monster on its own. Luck understands the NFL. He understands college. He can help from a football only perspective, which I think is going to help this program. And he's clearly behind this whole operation to put a Band-Aid on what was a tough situation with Coach Taylor's unexpected departure.
Yeah, should be interesting to follow there this year for Stanford. And, we'll see. Maybe, who knows, man? Maybe Reich does an incredible job and maybe he's the guy. But crazier things have happened, I would say. I just would think it'd be closer to what we were suggesting in terms of he's going to be the boots on the ground, the ears there for Andrew Luck, and a guy that Luck trusts his opinion at the very, very least. Obviously, he trusts him enough to run this program with him for the next year. So